Switch 2 editions of games are actually starting to kinda scare me. At first, when we had Switch 2 editions, they seemed like a cool little add-on. It was like, yeah, some of these games that were out on the Switch, they're getting a little bit of an update and you can decide to pay for it, and there you go. Some games had more added than others. With Kirby, you got a whole new adventure, side campaign thing. With Mario Party Jamboree, you got different side modes. So they seemed innocent enough, and it was just a matter of, do you think it's worth the price tag or not? For me, I haven't gotten any Switch 2 edition because the ones that I would have gotten it for, I just didn't really deem it worth it or something that I would really want to dive into, so I passed on them. But they seemed innocent enough, and it really wasn't a big deal. The issue is, though, is that now we're getting Switch 2 editions much after the launch of the Switch 2, to the point where I'm kind of confused on what's going to be happening when it comes to new entries of these franchises. Because as of right now, we have Switch 2 editions of Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, which those ones happened so early on, I don't really think that's going to affect anything. But then we got the side campaign in Kirby, we got the additions in Mario Party Jamboree, we know that one is coming for Mario Wonder, we know that one is coming for Animal Crossing New Horizons, and when it comes to Switch 2 games, we don't have too many to talk about that we know of that are coming out. And some of the games that are new that we're getting are for the Switch and the Switch 2. So we have Tomodachi Life, and we have Rhythm Heaven. But my concern is that they're willing to wait this long for Switch 2 editions. I believe Animal Crossing New Horizons comes out in January, and with Mario Wonder, we don't even know when it's going to be coming out. So more and more time is going on, and if they're adding content to these older games, does that mean that we're going to be waiting even longer for new entries in these franchises? Because with Mario, I think we kind of dodge a bullet because Mario Wonder getting a Switch 2 edition doesn't really affect at all a new 3D Mario game, so that could be what they're doing. But what's concerning is that these Switch 2 editions coming out so much later in the Switch 2's life cycle, what if they decide Mario Odyssey is going to get a Switch 2 edition? And then it'll put into question, when do we get a new 3D Mario game? Animal Crossing is a game that I really would have just preferred getting a whole new Animal Crossing game. The last update we got was 4 years ago, so to get all this new free content, it's cool, and some of it looks exciting, but I don't think I'm really gonna dive back into Animal Crossing. I've been done with it for a long time. And I mean, there's a chance that these games getting Switch 2 editions has no effect at all on when we would get new games, but I would be kind of surprised. Would they really have a Switch 2 edition of Animal Crossing New Horizons coming out in January, and then 4 months later, here's a new trailer for a new Animal Crossing game? I just don't really see that happening. And with Mario Wonder getting a Switch 2 edition, and we don't even know the date of that one, it's making me think that we're not going to be getting a 2D Mario game for a while. Again, I would like to think that this has no effect on new entries, but it's kind of hard to think that way when why would they eat up their own sales of something? And I'm also a little confused as to why they want to keep giving new life to these games. Animal Crossing New Horizons, that was done a while ago. 4 years ago was the last update. Why are they trying to revive it? That's where I am concerned that maybe their thought process is, let's add new life to these games because it's going to be a while before we get new entries in these franchises. Animal Crossing New Horizons is one of the weirdest ones because the Switch 2 edition itself doesn't really add much. It's more the free update. I feel like they're throwing in the Switch 2 edition just because the cost of it is $5 and then the bulk of the update is in the free update. So it is cool to see it fairly priced. I mean, $5 is a good price, but this whole idea of Switch 2 editions and adding life to these older games is concerning me for the future of the Switch 2, at least for the foreseeable future. I mean, at some point we are going to get new games, it's inevitable, but it is starting to make me concerned that this is their method of trying to alleviate downtime between new games. And on paper, I mean, it might sound good, but considering how many games are getting Switch 2 editions, it's kind of scary to think that those games could be pushed for a while to get a new entry. And I feel like it's kind of taking away the fun of having a new console. I mean, isn't getting a new console so you can play new games? I can't speak for everyone, but some of these Switch 2 editions, I mean, it's not going to get me to dive back into the game. Mario Wonder, we don't know all the stuff that's going to be added to it. They showed some of it, but some of it they're waiting to show later. I have a feeling it's not enough that's going to get me to want to buy it and dive back into Mario Wonder. And same with Animal Crossing. A bulk of the update is in the free update, so you could say that it doesn't really have to do with the Switch 2 edition, but on the topic of reviving these games, I've been done with Animal Crossing for so long that I don't really see myself diving back in. And I feel like if these Switch 2 editions had come out just right when the Switch 2 came out, or at least pretty close, I think it would be fine. It's the fact that these are getting pushed out, and potentially we could be getting even more Switch 2 editions for games that we aren't aware of yet. I think some of them we can kind of safely say no. I think Mario 3D World would be one that would not, because we already had the Bowser's Fury add-on to that game. And then some games you could argue maybe all they need is a Switch 2 edition, like with Mario Maker. I feel like Mario Maker 2 could maybe just keep thriving with a Switch 2 edition, but I think this is also kind of sucking out some of the fun of having a new console. I know I touched on that a little bit earlier, but in the case of Mario Maker 2, I would just rather get a whole new game. Even if they make a really cool Switch 2 edition, I would argue that it's just more exciting and fun to get a whole new game. So I mean, who knows? Maybe this is it for Switch 2 editions. Maybe Animal Crossing and Mario Wonder are the final two, and then from there we can just be seeing new stuff, but from what we know that's coming out, this has been one of the weirder launches for Nintendo for me. Because usually there's trailers where there's enough games where even if the game is coming out like a year or two from now, I'm just constantly excited. But right now, it doesn't really feel like there's a ton to keep us really glued to what Nintendo's doing. We have Kirby Air Riders coming out, which I'm super excited for. But after that, I can't really think of many games except for Rhythm Heaven and Tomodachi Life, and those are games that you can play on the Switch 1. I feel like usually they would tease some game even if it's a long way out. Like just some sort of tease. I still think that there are plenty of franchises and games that they could do that would keep us excited and just hyped about the Switch 2 in general, but it sucks to see some of these games kind of get knocked out for what feels like the time being, for getting a new entry in the franchise. Like Animal Crossing and Mario Wonder. I feel like that kind of takes away the chances of getting a new Animal Crossing game or a new 2D Mario game in the distant future. I think it's inevitable that we will get new games in those franchises, it's just that I really do feel like it's going to make us have to wait longer. Because no matter how you dice it, the Animal Crossing one is very, very strange. Why did they wait this long for an update? 4 years is quite a while. And I don't know if maybe their thought process is that if they keep sprucing up these games that it could get people to go back and buy them if they didn't before. But I feel like at a certain point, someone getting a new console wants to just get new games for that console. I don't know how much they care about a Switch 2 edition and stuff like that. I feel like this kind of only appeals to people who owned it on the Switch 1, but I feel like at that point, some of us have played those games so much and so long ago that we don't really care if they get new content, or at least not enough to buy it or dive back into the game. So this is definitely a weird period with Nintendo, in my opinion. I think this has been one of the strangest console launches for me, but I'm going to stay on the journey, and I'm still definitely hopeful. I think we're still going to get games that are going to be exciting and fun, but I think it's going to take some time. But now I lend the question off to you guys. How do you feel about all these Switch 2 editions? Have you gotten some of them? Have you been passing on them? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this, feel free to leave a like, subscribe for future content, and until next time, I'll see you all later. Take care, everyone.